Hi, I'm Caitlin Markheim, and for this research project, I proposed a topic to be that effects of isolation and how they relate to some theories proposed on the developing person. Before doing this research, I asked myself how isolation really begins and the consequences that these people might face. On the 5 articles that I used to get this information from, all attempted to relate to this question as to why isolation, which is the state of being alone or having past isolative experiences through the course of some time. It is usually determined to the developing person, meaning that the person loses the opportunity to progressive development. The research is all similar in these sources, yet diverse, and theoretical evidence on how being able to develop correctly is necessary to all humans and other life alike that thrive on social environment. In turn, proper development lowers the odds of future psychological problems that are detrimental to one's well-being. My first source talked about how isolation plays a big part in lack of development for almost all living organisms. As human beings, we are created to be involved with each other. We all live in social groups. We as humans strive based on who we are involved with, either that being negative or positively. Communication, as well as touch and care of others, is needed in order for one to develop and socially and in other ways, emotionally. When children experience loneliness along with abuse, neglect, the strength of isolation can affect the children as the same as when soldiers go through PTSD. I learned in my other class when we talked about different stages of development. I talked about this little girl who was isolated by her own parents, and all the interaction that she ever had was when her mother came in to feed her. Thankfully, these parents were caught, and she was sent to therapy and to live with other parents to take care of her. When newborns grow, they go through these stages, and these stages are time periods, which it is crucial for that child to learn certain skills, such as how to speak, how to interact with others, and their social norms in their own societies. Unfortunately, this girl was way past these time frames. Even though she kind of got the concept of these things that she was learning, her brain could never fully develop these concepts. The second source was about the painful disconnection that includes social impairments as well as depression in early and late stages. Specifically, it is argued that lack of pleasurable engagement in both necessary and significant conditions for the occurrence of general loneliness. The lack of physical engagement is a key to developing loneliness. By not engaging in any sort of physical altercations, one may feel sad, alone, and isolated. A person who is lacking this may also feel that their quality of life is not how they desire it to be. And then they also look at other people's lives and how they're living and how they're content and opposed to themselves. The third scholarly reviewed source that I had influenced the importance of information about the idea of loneliness, how it is formed and within the person, as well as other reasons on how it's strictly factual evidence that all things that isolation plays in the effects of the developing person. Loneliness is something that can develop as a result from this, as well as many other health problems such as diseases and that can later develop into depression and may either cause the death of that person. Everyone has preferences and expectations, as well as the desire for their personal relationships. Along with relationships, if you've been around no one else your whole life, just isolating yourself, you tend to end up not in a relationship ever. You either see that person not being able to fulfill your need, or vice versa, and you just feel like you're better off being independent. In my fourth source, it talked about when children are lonely and do not have many close friends or relatives to talk to. It may lead up to emotional problems such as anxiety and being shy, negative self-view, and depressions. All of these will eventually lead to something very serious, such as a deep depression, which is very dangerous for children to have these. These kids will have isolated themselves for so long that they will not know the needs of communication. So when someone's trying to help them, they won't be able to communicate with them and tell them what's exactly wrong. In the adolescent period, social relationships start to expand outside the individual's family. Therefore, being accepted by peers, including those of opposite sex, is of vital importance to the developing adolescent's identity. It's kind of that awkward stage where you're trying to find yourself and kids are mean. So if they don't like you or reject you, it can lead for that child to kind of slowly isolate themselves from the others. My last source was about an experiment of loneliness and how it could cause by links to heritable traits and behaviors. The CPA is a longitudinal adoption study of children's cognitive, personality, and social development. Participants from the CIP included 69 full sibling pairs and 64 biological, unrelated sibling pairs in adoptive families. This report included data collected when the children were 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. There were significant genetic contributions to the individual differences in child's general loneliness and loneliness specifically in school. So loneliness and just isolating yourself can be hereditary and genetic. Thanks.